Are you happy? Yeah. I wake up every day alone. And then I eat breakfast and sit in my racing rig and eat that breakfast alone. But then I get to race all day. Have you had to sacrifice anything to make this happen? No, not really. I mean, I sold my car for the T300 steering wheel and the racing pedals I have. But yeah, other than that, I sold my dog for the chair that I have, but that's it. So nothing really, yeah, no sacrifices. Do you think you are addicted to VR sim racing? No. Not really. My name is Corey, and I'm addicted to VR sim racing. Hey everyone, this is Corey, and today I'm going to be talking about why I will not be going back to pancake racing games, because VR is really something else, and it's quite mind-blowing. So let's get right into it. Who does that? Who does this? Why? No one does that anymore. So, I personally have had my racing wheel and pedals for about a month. I've wanted them for a very long time, and I'm super happy that I did get them. It makes a huge difference, and especially having VR as well, you really need the steering wheel and the pedals to fully immerse yourself. So I've tried racing games like Assetto Corsa and Project Cars 2, but what really grabbed my attention was Dirt Rally 2.0, because I grew up playing Rally Sport Challenge, which is another rally game, of course. So rally games are really what pulls me into racing games and why I initially purchased this whole setup. And it being in VR is absolutely incredible. It's blown me away in every aspect, and I don't think it's something that I can ever not have anymore. In racing sims, you have everything set up exactly like you would in real life. You have your steering wheel, your pedals, you're in a seat. You could have a racing seat, a bucket seat, just like a real car would have. You could actually rip out an actual car seat and use that as your, sim racing setup chair. So you could really immerse yourself in VR, because you have everything you need to utilize to trick your mind into thinking that you're actually sitting in a car. With VR, you're actually surrounded. You could look around left and right, and you see the environment like you're actually sitting in a car. And when you have physical objects that you can grab next to you, like a steering wheel or a shifter or a handbrake, it really convinces you that you're there. And I think that's something that is absolutely incredible, and nothing else does that in VR. You have games like Half-Life Alyx where you could pick up objects, you can move around. It's incredibly immersive being in that game. They did a fantastic job with the environmental sounds and everything to really lure you in and convince you that you're there. But they're missing some things, right? So movement in VR, you're either moving with teleportation or smooth locomotion movement, where you're standing still in real life, but you're moving in VR. And there's a bit of a disconnect there, because you're not actually moving in real life. And if you're teleporting, that's even worse, right? Because you can't teleport in real life. So there are some things there in standard VR games that aren't 100% convincing you that you're actually there, which you're not, obviously. But yeah, racing sims do a fantastic job of that, just because of the physical contact that you have with the instruments in front of you. And yeah, you're sitting in a cockpit, so it really feels good. So some of the reasons I'm not going back to flat screen with racing games is that in VR you could look through the corners, And that's super important because when you're taking a corner, you're going to be looking at the apex, and then once you see the apex and hit it, you're going to be looking past that and trying to line up your next turn or visually see what's in front of you, whether there's, you know, a car crashed or whether you could actually go on the throttle or not. And you can't really see this in flat screen because you don't have control of the camera movement. I mean, with a triple monitor setup, yeah, you could have that, but again, you don't have that real visual information to see through the corner all the way and look exactly where you want to go. And you could argue that yeah, triple monitor has that, triple monitor setup has that, but the triple monitor doesn't have depth perception. It doesn't have that, and it's a lot harder for a new person to gauge that distance in braking distance or you know, how fast they could approach the corner on a flat screen. At least that's the case for me. It was a lot more difficult when I was playing on flat screen to judge those things because depth perception is non-existent. There is no depth perception. You're looking at a flat screen. There's just the visual information you have there, but there's no depth to it. Whereas in VR, you could see out and you could look with your eyes as you would in real life if you were racing in a car, and you could way better gauge how far that corner is, and you could really better get on the brakes, you could better get on the throttle, you could really look through the corners, judge all of these things in VR, and you can't do that on flat screen. So I think VR is heaps and bounds better in that department. As far as sense of scale as well, you have a real sense of scale in VR. So in Dirt Rally 2.0, on a flat screen, I wasn't able to see the road's bumps and grooves and camber and crowning of the road. But in VR, you actually see the crowning of the road. You see all the grooves, you see all the little you know, divots and pockets that the tires from the previous cars that we're racing through have made and created these holes. And you don't get that at all in the flat screen. So in VR, you have that as well, where you could see camber on a turn, and it helps you better judge how to approach each turn and how to approach jumps and things like that. You don't get that in flat screen at all. So yeah, VR is incredible there. Again, +1 for VR in that department. That's something flat screen will never be able to offer. So that being said, you can be just as fast on flat screen. Everything can be fine on flat screen as well. Things are just a lot better in VR, in my opinion. You have a lot more information you could utilize, and these things don't exist on flat screen. But if you want, you could learn the track on flat screen just fine, and you could be just as fast or faster. And you being able to learn the track and remember it, have a visual memory of the track layout, you'll eventually learn, you know, each corner and how to approach them. Even though you can't look through the corner to see that information, you have the information memorized. So it's not necessary to look through the corners and things like that, and I understand that argument, but again, for someone new to racing sims or any racing game, or just wants to have fun in racing in VR, incredibly immersive. And I think they'll learn the track better, they'll have better visual feedback to better judge corners and things like that, braking distance, we talked about all that. And yeah, VR is honestly the way to go. There's no chance that I'm going back to flat screen. There's no chance. I'd also argue that VR is a little bit cheaper, especially if you're going for a flat screen setup, which involves a triple monitor setup. Flat screen is way cheaper. You could buy a Quest for a few $100s. That's the cost of like one monitor if you're going big screens. So for a few $100, you could immerse yourself further than any flat screen triple or quadruple, or having, you know, 10 monitors literally surrounding your entire area. VR is still going to be better than that. You can't match VR, because VR you could look anywhere you want. You could look above you, all around you, and you have depth perception, which flat screen will never have. So I'd argue that VR is a better option because it's cheaper. It further immerses you, and you get a lot more feedback. You get the depth feedback, and yeah, you're able to better gauge everything because of that. But anyway, I'm curious what all of you are playing the most. Are you guys playing flat screen or in VR with your racing sims? If you're playing flat screen, is it because you're choosing to, or is it because you don't have a VR headset? Let me know in the comments down below, or it could be because you have motion sickness too. But anyway, let me know all of that information in the comments. I'm curious how you guys enjoy playing the most. Me personally, I enjoy VR, but it's all subjective, and enjoy whatever you enjoy. I think that's the that's like basic life 101. Do what you enjoy. That being said, I do post videos every week, so if you like this video, make sure to subscribe. Liking the video helps a ton, and if you want to know what's on my mind, follow me on Twitter. Links are in the description down below. And as always, make sure you think for yourself, which means question yourself, do what makes you happy, and I'll see you all next time. On this episode of VR Addictions, we will take a look in the eyes of a VR racing sim addict. On this episode of VR Addicts.